All right, MSP leaders, we're going to tackle two of the biggest pain points that happen inside an MSP and show you how you can turn them around in 30 days. Now, turning around doesn't mean 100% fix, right? It means we get going in the right direction. Now, after working with hundreds of MSPs, we find that pricing and service catalog are the most common problems, and they drive down profitability KPIs and just cause stress in the culture. And while pricing and service catalog are highly connected, we need to attack them a little bit differently to make sure we're getting progress in both areas. Now, our goal here is to actually just stop the bleeding, right? Turn the ship around and get going in the right direction. We understand that you might have agreements that last another 3 years, and you're going to have to deal with those. But the goal is that we're not going to sell one more bad agreement or one more service that's not in our service catalog. And going forward, pricing is going to be spot on. So let's dig right in and start with pricing. Now, there's typically 3 common areas where pricing will come into play: our hourly labor, our project labor, and our agreements. Now, a lot of MSPs will say, I don't do hourly work, but we still need to set the rate so we can understand whether we're making profits or making as much as we should in our projects. So starting off, should you charge one number for everybody? And the answer is typically no, because we want to maximize the rates on those high-end team members and make sure we're still applying affordable rates to the team members that are doing desktop and general support. So if we look at a tiered system, and most MSPs will have something around 3 tiers. And for this example, we'll call it technician, engineer, and senior engineer. Now, the process is going to be exactly the same on setting the price in each tier, but we're just going to use the engineer as the first example. So let's say we pay our engineers between $80,000 and $90,000 a year. We're going to split that right down the middle and start our calculation at $85,000. We're going to take that $85,000 and divide it by 2,080, which is the number of hours we work in an average year. And we're going to get roughly $40.87. Now, we're going to multiply that $40.87 by 4. We'll get into why in a minute, but let's just keep on with the calculation. That's going to give us $163.46. Now, what this tells us is we can't charge less than $164 an hour and be profitable with these employees. Now, this gives us the floor pricing. It's not what we want to charge. It just gives us a guideline to say we definitely don't want to go below this, and this will at least keep us profitable. So we'll typically want to add 10 or 20% to this to get to a number that your community can afford, but will still make sure you gain profitability. Now, we can do the same things with our techs and our senior engineers and get rates that fit all 3 of those categories. Now, this is something you want to review every year, because as your salaries go up, your hourly rate needs to go up. And a couple of gotchas here: if you offer a lot of vacation, let's say 5 weeks, that number is going to shift a little bit, and we're going to need to charge more to make up for the time that the team member isn't there. So now that we have the floor on hourly pricing, we can start looking at our project labor. Now, a lot of MSPs really struggle with project profitability, and it's typically because they go over on hours. So first things first, we need to get really good at estimating hours. Now, we're not going to solve that in this video, but the pricing side of it we are going to attack and turn around in 30 days. We're going to start by using those hourly rates that we just calculated under our hourly pricing and apply that to all of our projects going forward. We're also going to make sure that we add time and a half for after hours work that's necessary, and we're going to add in project management and solution design. Typically that's around 20% of the hours, but it can fluctuate based on the complexity. And the thing that's really going to turn this around, once we have our pricing right and we've included all the hours for the project, is a post-mortem. Every single project, every single time, we do a review to find out what went wrong or what went right. If we end up coming in over budget on our hours, a post-mortem will help make sure we don't do that again. And charging for things like travel and after hours makes sure that we can apply bonuses to our team for working extra. Now, once we have our projects nailed down, we need to attack agreements. And this is a little more challenging because there's a couple other numbers that come into play when we talk about agreement profitability. Now, most of the time when we have a problem with an agreement, it's typically because we're putting too much labor towards that agreement, or we're not charging enough for the amount of labor we're doing in that agreement. But similar to hourly, we have a calculation we can use to understand where we should be. Whether you're going to do one rate or multiple rates, agreements are typically going to get chopped up a couple different ways. Maybe you're the flat fee kind of MSP, or you're per user or per node. At the end of the day, it really doesn't matter. It's getting to the right calculation to make sure they're going to be profitable. So in any of these cases, what we're going to do is figure out the stack cost that's involved with the calculation we want to do. If we're just going to do one flat rate, we need to calculate every piece of stack software we're going to have to apply. If we're doing per user, we're going to have to think about the stack rates of everything that's going to be included in that user agreement. And node is the easiest for us because we know exactly which stack items apply to each node. Then we need to figure out our loaded labor rate. Similar to our hourly agreement, if we have an $85,000 employee working on an agreement, they're going to be coming in at around $40.67 cost per hour. Now we need to load that up, so an easy math on that is just to add 25% for taxes and benefits. That's going to put us a little over $51. Then we need to estimate the number of hours that we'll either be doing for the flat agreement, per user, or per node. Do a little bit of multiplication and we'll know how much labor cost we have to apply to the agreement. Once we add that labor cost to our stat cost, we'll get our agreement cost, depending on how we chop it up. From that point, we know we need to be 65% profitable. That means we can only spend 35% of the agreement on our labor and on our tools. Now, if you've done this and you still aren't making the 65% profitability, one of two things are happening. Either you did a bad calculation or you're likely adding too much labor into the agreement. So it's time to recalculate and understand what you're doing differently. Are you adding things that don't bring value to the agreement? If so, we can take those away. If you're adding things that do bring value to the agreement, we need to increase the price. Now, I know what you're going to say. All my clients are going to freak out. I'm going to lose everybody if I change my pricing, especially if it's going up by a large amount. And here's the trick. Hourly and projects, you can do those today and those take effect immediately. Agreements, we change the pricing going forward, so all of our future clients change to the new pricing, and then as old agreements fall off, we convert them to the new pricing. We know pricing changes are hard, but at the end of the day, if you're really good at what you do and you're charging a realistic rate, your clients are going to stay. Now, you might have a few leave, but that's okay. It gives us capacity to bring in new, better clients at that new rate. And don't be afraid. Your great clients want you to be profitable, and this is the formula you have to do if you want to be a profitable MSP. Now, tightly connected to pricing is service catalog. Now, to narrow this down, we're going to say a service catalog is a listing of all of the services that you provide. And when we say services, that is people-based solutions like hourly, project, BCDR, cybersecurity, MSP. All of those have people involved to try to make it work. And the number one best thing about a service catalog is if it's not in the service catalog, we don't sell it. It stops owners, right, from selling things that haven't been baked out, haven't been priced, and might not be profitable. Now, each service profile, which is an individual service we sell, is going to have at least 4 things. First is description. You're just going to basically tell a story of what the service is and what it does. The next section is features. You want to tell everything that's included with the service, whether you're doing 24/7 or you're doing remote, on-site, if patching is included, if recurring meetings are included. Basically, every feature that's included in the service, we want to make sure we describe here. This brings a lot of clarity to the team and also helps us describe to the clients what they should expect. We're going to add any tools that are included with the service in here as well. And of course, the pricing, how it's priced and what it costs. This allows pricing to become a really easy process. We know how much it is, we know how we price it, all we have to do is the calculation. Now, with managed service, you might have onboarding requirements, you might have service level agreements, and you might even have requirements listed for that service. Things like they have to have a good backup if you're going to do hourly. If not, we're going to do backup first. Or that you don't support end-of-life equipment. Just making that minimum standards list and adding it to your service profile will bring a lot of clarity to the services you're offering. Now, if we create each service profile for our hourly work, our project labor, and every type of agreement that we sell, we're going to significantly help our team understand what we do. It also helps build a process anytime we want to sell something new. We're going to have to describe it, list all the features, price it, make sure there's tools included and any ancillary information we need to add in there so that we can deliver the service with quality. Now, just like pricing, we can turn a few of these things around right away, but some of them might take a little time. If you sell 10 different versions of backup and you want to consolidate down to one, you turn the ship right away by only selling that one that you have in the service catalog now. And then as the old ones fall off, you replace them with the service you want to offer. And when you tie great pricing with a great service catalog, you really find a way to make money. And while it's not all about money, it does give us a lot more flexibility to hire staff, give raises, open up new positions, offer training, and celebrate when things are going really well. So that's it. 2 things that most MSPs really struggle with that you could turn around in 30 days with a little bit of focus. I'm Jim Peterson, Principal Solution Advisor at ConnectWise, and we got your back. If you struggle at all with your pricing or service catalog, hit us up. We're here to help. And if this video was helpful at all, please like and subscribe.